Providence Public Safety Commissioner Stephen Pare is my guest. Nice to have you in again.
Thank you, Gene. Nice to be here.
We've done a couple of Zooms, and it's nice to see you in person.
Likewise.
Let's dig right into this. You know, time is running out for about 51 police officers who refuse to get vaccinated, and you have promised that they're going to be fired. That's what the mayor says. You're executing what he wants to do. So far, you haven't done that. Is that in the offing, or are you going to back off at some point?
Look, we're talking with the union and the leadership of the union. For the last couple of weeks, we're making progress. That number came down from the high 60s. We're at 49 as of yesterday. And so we're going to continue making progress, and they all need to get vaccinated. I think it's important. We did it on the fire side. Mm-hmm. They interact with the public. So at the end of the day, we hope that they will all comply with the requirement of vaccination. Look, I don't want to fire any police officer, but it's a requirement, and they need to meet that requirement.
All right, so yesterday, in just setting up this interview, you said it was 51. Since then, it's down to 49?
That's right.
Okay, now this is in addition to people who did get a religious exemption, or they got one shot, or they had COVID and they can't get the shot by the deadline.
Sure.
So these are 49 solid. They're not budging?
These are 49 that are non-compliant with our policy.
Okay.
So how many are going to budge? How many is not? Look, we got to work this. And we're hopeful at the end of the day, they'll all become compliant with the requirements.
Is that about 10% of the department, based on the latest figures?
About, yeah.
You can't afford to go without them.
Look, I don't want to lose one, but It's a requirement. And our firefighters all got vaccinated.
Right.
It's important. We're public safety officials. We go into homes, and we need to get our police officers vaccinated.
I know sometimes people talk a tough game, but then in the end, you can't go without 49 cops. I asked the governor about this, and he said maybe you should back off the firing threat and implement some sort of a regular testing so that you keep them on. That's something he did, by the way, with the healthcare workers in the state hospital. He said, I'll get rid of you, I'll get rid of you. In the end, he said, I can't afford. Let's listen to the governor, and then you react to that. Go ahead.
I think that they should try to figure out how to keep everybody safe, but also there is a need to make sure that that we know that the public safety individuals are not carrying the virus around with them. So put a testing component in. They probably can figure out how to maintain the staffing that they have in Providence. And we all know right now that Providence needs all its police officers.
Now, you know, sitting here with you, I don't know. You may very well follow through and get rid of them, which is what the mayor has said. You may follow up, and it's not a bluff, or you may back down and say we can't get rid of 49 cops. So what is it?
Look, it's a requirement. There were 130 firefighters that said, well, I'm not going to get vaccinated early on, and we worked through it, and I ended up having to terminate 5. So, look, it's important. Okay. We're in people's homes, and they should protect themselves and the public. And that's what this is about. Well,
that's a quid pro quo then. If you fired 5 firefighters and you don't follow through on the cops, those firefighters are going to come back and say, hey, you said, right? I mean, you're in a tough spot.
Look, it is, but it's applicable to all city employees. So everyone needs to be vaccinated.
All right, let's move on to something that was in the news last week. There's a towing contract with state towing. And there's many different towing contracts. This one happens to be for abandoned vehicles. And there's a rate in the contract, you pay him this much. Council President Igliozzi says you've been paying him way over that rate. He doesn't understand why, and he says it's wrong. He really lays you out in this soundbite, but then you have a chance to speak back to him. Go ahead and run Council President Igliozzi.
The commissioner's in charge. It's his contracts. It's his primary job to oversight those tow contracts. So it's his department that overpays them. So their job is to follow the contract and follow the law. So it's the commissioner, it lays on the commissioner's feet.
Go ahead, Commissioner. He says you're overpaying for that towing contract.
Well, he's just wrong. So he's referring to one contract.
State towing.
Well, it's state towing, but there's another vendor that also bid on this particular work.
Okay.
Colletters. Mm-hmm. So there are 2 that bid on this particular work. The work that he's referring to is outside of the contract language and the requirements. So when I say that, this has been an ongoing issue since I've been there, 11 years. So we get calls, by the way, from the council a lot about abandoned vehicles and trailers and all kinds of abandoned buses and boats and everything, and it's full of debris.
Right.
And so it's not a typical, hey, would you just tow this and bill the city $35? It's much more complicated and it's much more costly. So we have not overpaid, and it's not applicable to the contract that he's referring to. So he's just wrong.
Mr. State Towing happens to be a Salvatore. He's the brother of Councilman David Salvatore, although Council President Iglesias suggests no cozy relationship, nothing wrong on the councilman's part. This is his brother's business. Can you flesh that out for us a little further?
Sure. So I don't know. He's accusing me in my office of overpaying.
Right.
And he's wrong. So we had state towing, and we continue to do this, and we've been doing it for the 11 years I've been there. Okay. Would you please remove this debris and this trash, because we've gotten a complaint on public and private property. Mm-hmm. And we remove it. We try to find the rightful owner and hold them responsible. A lot of times, the car's been sold 15 different times, or it's a trailer or a boat we can't find, but we got to get it out of the city. And we do that, and state towing has been doing that. So this isn't anything new. The internal auditor worked in my office for a number of years. She knows the process and the procedure, and all of a sudden they do this audit accusing me of deliberately overpaying a vendor to a gentleman who's been doing work in the city for decades, who is among the very best that I've dealt with in the towing companies. So there's no spending of taxpayer dollars that we didn't get a service for.
So you're saying that whatever you're paying him is the right price?
Yes.
But does Council President Iglesias have you on a technicality? Does
No,
he have a number in the paper that says it's this, you're paying him this? And is it political? There's bad blood between the two of you, we know that.
Sure, it's political. And I think it's political with who it is with this particular vendor. It's a lot of money, but he's cleaning up a lot of, at our request, he's going and picking up a lot of debris, and he has to dispose of that debris. And he should be paid for it. So there's nothing, wrong or inappropriate, as he suggested. There's nothing dishonest that he's accused me and my staff. And, I take offense to him, characterizing sloppy work and us deliberately overpaying for a service that we're getting that is appropriate.
All right, we've got about 2.5 minutes. A couple other things I just want to touch on while you have you here. You want to appoint a community police liaison officer?
Yes.
Could you just give me the quick background on that, and where does it stand?
Well, real quickly, it stands with the council. We have asked for it. It was put in a sworn position in the budget. And
by the way, this is the controversial one that the mayor wanted to make this person a lieutenant.
No, no.
Is that the same one or different?
No, it's the same one, but we or he never intended to make a civilian a sworn. It was a liaison. Look, East Providence just did it. And they have a civilian person being the liaison. Right. And we could have had it, and we should have it, with a civilian being that liaison.
We just got about 1 minute. You're
Sure.
pressing for that. You want this person at some point. Whatever you have to do to get it, you want it.
I'm asking the council to move that and put it in the appropriate position and funding so we can take that individual and bring them on board. I think it'd be effective.
We have 30 seconds. There was a story in the news about Sergeant Hanley, who was caught on tape roughing up a black defendant.
Yes.
He lost that case, but he's going to collect his pension?
Well, he lost it at the district court, appealed it at the Superior Court. We can't terminate him under Leobor, the state law, until the criminal case is adjudicated. In the meantime, he's going to click 20 years and he'll be eligible for a pension.
You find that wrong? You find it ironic?
Very wrong.
Commissioner Pare, thanks for coming. I don't think you want to be a councilman. I think you've had enough just being the Providence Public Safety Commissioner. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Gene.
Good to touch base with you.